Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! I want to know if I can gritty, huh? Nah, I'ma chill. Y'all just gonna have to see me gritty in person at some point. Come to Texas live for the games. You'll see me gritty. Hey, coming up, we got some mini camp action. Day one of minicamp concluded yesterday, and a couple of the rookies stood out. So we're going to talk about those guys and pretty much everything from day one minicamp, top to bottom. And we got our guy, our friend of the show, Dallas Cowboys staffer, insider, host, everything for those dudes. Yeomans will be joining us at the top of the hour, and he'll be calling us on the phone, and we'll get some inside information. Not inside information, but inside the star look from day one of minicamp. But in the roundup, we'll actually talk about Mike McCarthy's press conference. He has some nuggets in there, and obviously one of the biggest nuggets that came out revolved around Dak Prescott. So we'll touch on that. I'll give my thoughts. You can share your thoughts by calling in to the phone line, Pulse of the Nation phone line, 351-999-3787. Hold up. Michelle, how you going to do that? You know dang well I can dance. See, y'all fitting what y'all going to make me do is turn this show into a dance-off. Listen, I don't like to brag about things. I'm not that type of dude. But I definitely can dance. Come on now. That's deep. How you going to do me like that? Now, when it comes to the gritty, these new dances these kids got going on, I don't know about all that. My son, he be doing all these crazy new dances, but I can't do all these crazy new dances. But I can dance, though. There's a difference. Get me started up in here, man. But what's up, Bomb Squad? How y'all doing?
Bomb Squad!
Sam done called Tolbert the light-skinned Wes Walker. Well, come on, man. Come on. What up, Lord Nova? Already with the donation.
Super chat.
He says, what up, Scott? One more LNH episode soon. Well, we'll see about that, man. We'll see about all that. I don't know. Trey said, my bad, man, I was late. Let's get to some of these shout-outs. Jermaine, Trey, David J, Joe, T, Merrick Quinn Grill, what's up? Derek Fisher. Who else got there? Toxic Tom, my lady clowning me, acting like I can't dance, but it is what it is. She up in the building, too. James Rogley, Matt Goddick, Samuel Rowe, Lord Nova, Mr. Woods was good. TC on the drums. Lemitra, how you doing? C. Burleson, Peasy, Jesse Foss, 681 boy. It's a long one there. That's a long one. David J. What else we got up in the building? Jermaine Underwood, what up? TC915, Special K, what's good? Still tipping on fofos. That was pretty dope. I like that Special K. That's pretty dope. Mirror 0101. You still gotta let me know how to say that, man. Joey Vela in the building talking about Ryan Skywalker. No, come on, man.
Hell no.
Don't do that to me. AJ Torres, Antoine Swain, Tony Peters, JJ, Chuck P was good. And Captain America's in the building as well. So salute to you, Iceberg Q. I see you. And the many more coming through. I appreciate you. Looks like Toxic Tom got a Pro Bowl membership shout out today. What's good, Toxic? He says, Sky, thank you for the Ryan Nall tribute show yesterday. You're going to look great in the Nall Color Rush jersey. I will say this, Toxic. You would not. If he does make it and I got to wear a Nall jersey, I want it to be a Color Rush. I think those jerseys are just sick. I don't even wear jerseys, but I will wear a Color Rush jersey. So let's see, man. Let's see. Who Who's blazing that loud this AM? Peasy, you wild, man. Arthur, what's up? Frankie, what's good? All right, let's get into this. Oh, there you go. Dak not done yet. He says, you see me, don't play. I ain't see you, man. Y'all be coming in here late. Look, Big H is late. Ryan, come on, man. We talking about here, man. We talking about here. Prime time, what's up? We're going to get into this roundup. And it's like I said, it's mostly the Mike McCarthy presser. I'm not going to play a bunch of audio clips. It's just going to be one audio clip about the Dak Prescott thing. But he has some other things we'll touch on, real small things. And then we'll discuss that Dak thing. Again, call in 351-999-3787. Make sure y'all get in here before my guy Ryan does, and we'll get this thing popping. What's up, D-Shift? Let's do it.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Looks different today, huh? Yeah. We're not presented by Texas Family today. Not today, y'all. What's good? Let's jump straight into the Mike McCarthy press conference and some of the nuggets that came out of that presser. This one right here gave a shout out to PFF and the instant analytics that they were able to get. All teams really are able to get. He talked about how that helps them do this and do that. I will say this, y'all, because y'all know how I feel about PFF. Don't give a damn about their grades. Really don't care. But their statistics, top tier. The team that they have to get these statistics, top tier. And what access the teams have, the NFL teams, completely different than what we have, y'all. Completely. So I will say PFF does get a hat tip kudos for what they do for the NFL in regards to their immediate analytics. Now, how McCarthy and those boys put it together, that's up to them. That's up to them. He also addressed using Tony Pollard more. And, hey, listen, if y'all want to, we can continue to beat this dead horse. I will. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have an effect, but I hope so. But we talked about this ad nauseum yesterday on our show as well as on Vach's show. And we'll continue to do so because it needs to be done. TP needs to be involved more. But the one thing that I thought was very interesting was he gave Conor Mcgovern, a.k.a. Conor McGregor, the best shape of my life tag. Let's read what he had to say about Conor McGovern. I think Conor has done an excellent job. I think, like anything, you can control what you control. We have so many players, and he's one of them right there that we have the captain workouts. These guys have been here since February, and Conor has been one of those guys. So this is clearly the best shape he's been in. It's the strongest he's been. The numbers that he has pushed, his body index, all of those components are really what you look for. And he's maxed this time of year to get ready for the competition. Sounds good, y'all. Do we really believe, though, that Conor McGovern is going to be LG1? Or is this just one of those, hey, man, gotta big up my guy. That's my guy. I got to big him up. Best shape of my life season, I don't really, whatever, right? But, again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. We talk about during this time period, I want to hear good things about the players. I don't want to hear the players getting worked. And according to the coach, Conor is hitting all the physical peaks. He's hitting all the things that he needs to from a physical standpoint. But I ain't hearing the same things I'm hearing from Tyler Smith. I'm just saying, I haven't heard that just quite yet. Hell, maybe we'll talk to Kyle about it and see if he can give us some Conor McGregor update from a on-field product, not just off the field hitting body index numbers. So we'll see about that. We'll ask. But I think what came out, the biggest news that came out of yesterday's pre-practice presser was McCarthy talking about Dak's mobility and using his legs more in the run game. I'm actually going to play that entire clip because that really, honestly, that was something that you can take away because it's a big talking point in regards to his mobility, and we'll talk about it when we come out of this little audio excerpt. So take a listen to Mike McCarthy speaking on Dak's mobility.
It's been huge. I mean, it's been huge for him. It's been huge for everybody. So I think all the little things that we do, particularly the meetings, the walkthroughs, and all that they're important, obviously. But just for him to have no limits has been outstanding. And I think you clearly see it in the way he's moving this year. I mean, you look at his body; he's clearly different than he was last year. So he's had a heck of an off season.
What's different about his body? How has he changed that?
He's leaner, more flexible. So, and I think just the mechanics, just be able to really get after the mechanics. There's no limits on the movement drills. Quarterback drills last year, there was a gradual phase of the different type of drills, how we did them. So there was no progression to that this year. So he's been full go since day one.
Is he also running better? I mean, quicker? Do you see any of that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think he's moving. I think like anything, it's just this is year 3 in the offense. The opportunity to move more, potentially than he did in the past, as far as what he's being asked to do. I think he's clearly the thing that jumps out to me is his movement ability in the scramble drills and scramble situations. The way he activates the scramble drills. So he's got more reps at it. It's more natural to him. So it looks really good.
Mike, last year coming off the injury, did you, as coaches, limit him in terms of extending plays or using his running ability?
You talking about in season or this time last year?
During the season.
I think we tried to be smart. We didn't. I think it's obvious we didn't call as many quarterback runs than probably prior. So there wasn't as many in the game plan. So I think we tried to be smart when we used them. So I think that's only natural. And I think if you look at the history of this league, when a player has a major joint injury, it usually takes them a full year to where I think they get, there's a first for everything that the player has to go through. So, that was definitely part of our thinking.
Be fair to say that there'll be more movement type plays designed for him this season?
It's a schematic question, Michael. We don't answer those here. So, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
Hey, coach said, hey, Mike, hey, Mike, I like you, bro. We'll be doing these schematic questions. Now, he doesn't like schematic questions. I noticed that from last year in a lot of his press conferences. But he's still low-key in a way. I hate to use the term spill the beans because this is a part of Dak's game in his life, right? So, y'all know me. I've been back and forth on this thing lately. Really, it wasn't like this at the start off. This is something that's kind of I've been battling with in regards to Dak and his mobility. Because I was leading the charge that, hey, man, got to use his legs. This is way before his injury. I was like, why is he not using his legs more in a sense of design runs? Now, we'll get to the other part of it. But in sense of design runs before the main injury in 2020. Then a few weeks ago, I don't know what happened. I just maybe got in my head. I started thinking, and I was like, well, damn. He got hurt in 2019 running against the Rams. He got hurt in 2020 running against the Giants. He got hurt kind of, and it's a scramble, but it is what it is, kind of being mobile and getting out the pocket. And it's like, maybe I don't want to see him running. So I started to second guess myself, but there is no denying Cowboys Nation. This is something you just can't deny. When Dak has his legs as an added weapon, it makes him more difficult to defend. And it helps this offense, specifically in the red zone. When Dak first came into the league, he led all quarterbacks, if I'm not mistaken, during that time span, his first 3 years in rushing touchdowns. He had 18 rushing touchdowns. Now, I don't know if I don't think Cam Newton did. I went back and looked during those years. Cam Newton didn't have more rushing touchdowns than him in that year. So neither did Josh Allen. So the only other person I could think of is maybe Lamar, and I don't even think Lamar was scoring a bunch of touchdowns in that aspect. So, Dak had 18 rushing touchdowns in his first 3 years. Then in 2019, where I think he started to emphasize, or Kellen started to emphasize more of a passing aspect, that went down to 3 rushing touchdowns, and I believe his rushes went down as well. So I've come to this conclusion, and I think I'm going to stick at it. From a schematic standpoint, I feel like they got to be smart with it. I feel like they have to do it more in the red zone, right? And they have to use his legs as a weapon, but be smart with it. Now, as for Dak Prescott, we're going into year 2 outside of the shredding of his ankle. I had a conversation with one of the followers on Twitter where I was telling him, hey, I think it's a normal thing to be cautious as a quarterback to run and take off early coming off an injury like that. I think we all expected that. Then once you got to the back half of the year and he started to become a little bit more confident, you saw him take off against the Washington football people. You saw him take off against other teams. It's like, okay, you can do it. Let's do it. And that's just selfish fan me. But it does take a little bit to get back from an injury like that. I spoke to a number of different players, and I've listened to a number of different interviews where players that have had serious injuries, it's usually after year 1 where the mental aspect comes back. And Dak sounds mad confident in regards to his body. Coach said he's more leaner and he looks more lean. I'll definitely take a look at that when we get out to camp. I saw him one time randomly out in Dallas, and he looked lean. And I was like, oh, okay, But he talked about how he's able to focus on more than just his leg. So that's going to happen, right? His body's going to shape differently. And then you heard Coach talk about they obviously didn't call as many run plays, and he said that wasn't in the game plan. So I think the question has been answered, Cowboys Nation. We've been asking this question amongst ourselves over the last year. Well, why aren't they? Who's holding Dak back from running? Coaches are. In the schematic standpoint, from an actual scramble, get out the side of the pocket standpoint, he actually was doing it. He just wasn't that good at it because he was still hobbled in a way from that injury. So I went back and charted pressures that turned into sacks just to see, well, all right, let's see how he did on 1 year from his injury, right? Let's see how he did right after his injury. Dak was 8th in the league in a good way, 8th best in pressures that turned into sacks. He had a lower percentage sack rate than Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, and I want to say, I think it was Josh Allen. One of the other top-ish quarterbacks were up there. So, and I didn't even include Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe's line was Joe's line. So he was up there too. But so I thought that was fascinating. I thought that was interesting. From a guy who just shredded his ankle and still was able to kind of avoid sacks a little bit last year, but not all the time, obviously. He took, I think it was like 30 sacks. So he could get better, I guess, in that department. But no, it's a fascinating question. Why didn't Dak run no more? I think they answered it. And I think it absolutely needs to be put back into his game, but in doses. Cat Williams has a line in his stand-up that I love to say all the time. Too much of anything, right? Too much of anything, you could be in trouble. And he says, you take too many Tylenols, it'll be your last headache. This is true. You run Dak too many times, it could be a situation where he gets in trouble again. So, conclusion. Use Dak more, his legs more in the red zone, some RPOs, but be smart with it in general. Maybe on those 3rd and 2s, you can maybe mess around with it, but I believe he got hurt on the 1st and 10 against the Giants. You don't really need to do that. Like Dak's a good enough passer where you don't really need to do that on 1st down. So just be smart with it, Cowboys Nation. See what y'all got to say, man. AJ says, we're not asking Dak to play like Lamar, but his legs will add dimension to the team. Absolutely. I think it needs to be part of his game. It's always been in his career. And if he is more flexible, as Coach says, he has a little bit more burst to him. He's slimmed up. He's trimmed up. He's lean. Yeah, let him do a little bit more. Not a lot. It's a little bit, though. Salute to you,
Super Chat.
TC on the drums with the $10 donation. He says, keep up the good work, Mr. Sky, and pray for O-line help for Christmas around December. Lord Nova, did I get you already? Oh, yeah, I got you already, Lord Nova. So, Sam says, sign Cam Newton to run the ball. We got the money. In a normal world, I mean, sure. Could you imagine Cam Newton as backup here? Oh, my God. Soon as Dak throws an interception, put Cam in. Cowboys fans, man. Joe says it's Jerry holding Dak back. Probably. I mean, we saw what happened in the I think it was Steven who came out and actually said it. But we saw what happened in the Atlanta game. Dak clicked on him. He said, oh, wait a minute, man. I got to remind these folks I still can tote the rock. Truck somebody in Atlanta, got in there, did the little pose, and right after the game, oh, man, that's all gravy and everything, but don't ever do it again. We don't ever want to see him do that again, says Stephen Jones. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that did come from higher up. But from a coaching standpoint, I think it was smart. Dak wasn't – you could see it, right? You could see him not be as mobile as he used to be. So you don't want to utilize that, to an extent to where it becomes a detriment. So I think you had to work him back. And you saw once you got to about December, you saw his legs kind of get under him a little bit more. And it worked out in some scrambling situations. But I want to see year 1, 2, 3 mobility Dak. Not year 1, 2, 3 carries. I think he got somewhere around like 70 carries. I don't think we really need to see that. But 50? He was at 46 last year. Not all designed, so some of them were scrambles, but roughly 50, 55. Where maybe half of those are designed, and most of them are in the red zone. Not going to lie, says Toxic. I tore my ACL in the Army during a 10-miller. After a year of therapy, I was anxious about running long distance again. Yeah, so just imagine, from an athlete standpoint, you get back out there and dudes are coming at you 110%. They don't give a damn about you tearing your leg up. You know what I'm saying? So, we heard, I don't know if I heard, Malik Hooker talk about that in depthly. He talked about how the mental aspect of coming back from serious injuries is real. I spoke to, and see, this would be a great time to have Dr. Boothby on here, but I spoke to a trainer who was dealing with Keanu Neal and his injury, and he was saying the same thing about Keanu Neal, not his recent injury, but his injuries in his career, that, it's a mental thing first, really. The physical aspect, they're going to work their butts off of. They're usually back physically from, like, in the sense of it's healed, it's strong enough, but it's a mental thing. Bill says, we're assuming Kellen's play calling has gotten better. He's still sus to me. Well, damn, think about it. 2019 was the last time we kind of really saw the design stuff, but then he did it in 2020, and then that's, that happened to Dak. So it's really a slippery slope, man, especially because he's been getting dinged up. Let's go ahead and get Coach Marv in the building before we get into some of these Twitter streets. Maybe I'll hit the Twitter streets before we get to Kyle as well. We'll see what's up with Coach Marv, though. Good morning, Coach Marv. How you doing?
What's going on, Scott? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Can I get you?
There
you go. There you go. You was a little bit lower.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about when you were talking about Dak getting into the running game, which I think that gives us some more carries, doing it where we can spread it out. Where I don't think Dak should have no more than about, and all his carries should be getting out of trouble, scramble type things. I wouldn't put him in too many read option type things. But I think what McCarthy was talking about, that they're going to allow him to scramble and to get out of the pocket and probably take those yards that teams are giving him, and get down and get out of bounds. And there should be no problem with that, as long as he's careful about how he does it. But that's going to be good. So if you're going to incorporate that in your offense, and let's say that becomes a very good thing in your offense,
mm-hmm.
Well, you need to. Most teams like to have a resemblance of a backup quarterback that can do some of the same things in your offense, so your offense doesn't have to totally change.
Yeah, Coach, I've been kind of screaming for that for a while, but
this team. I'm just saying that your backup quarterback cannot do those things at all. You won't be, you'll be hampered with something. I'm not saying you want him to be just like your quarterback, but they kind of need to kind of mirror each other, because that's the way your offense can stay some continuity if your quarterback does go down.
Yeah, the Ravens do that.
Right. So that's where you want. So you want to have somewhere to have some of the same skill sets. But I think I wanted this one point I wanted to push, and I know if I put it out there on your show, Sky, it gets to it finds its way to the Cowboys building because of the magnitude of your show, and we have seen that over and over and over again. When they talk about the Tony Pollard thing, man, I was going back and I was looking at guys, and I said, how we can use Tony Pollard? And then they were saying, well, they use him in the slot, which I'm not too don't like that as much, because then you put him in a situation where coverage is dedicated to him, and he's at a receiver position. But I like him coming out on the wing or out the backfield, because could we use him like Chris McCaffrey?
I would say like Austin Eckler, Chris McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara. From a receiving standpoint, I'm with you. Listen, putting him in the slot is fine if you're doing it from the backfield, if you follow what I'm saying.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying, because you dedicate the coverage. Once you put him on line of scrimmage, you don't have the threat of him run the ball. Now you're already saying, okay, now he's a receiver. When he's in the backfield, you have a threat of saying, okay, is he going to hand the ball off, or which way is he going to come out the backfield? Because in that case, you cannot, in most cases like that, backs that's coming out the backfield, you have to dedicate them with one-on-one coverage, because you can't say we're going to zone up that side because we don't know which way he's going to go. So those option routes, if you go back and look at film study of Chris McCaffrey, and I'm talking about Tony Pollard 11 to 12 carries in the game, but at least 8 to 9 targets per game. If you clear side and he coming out the backfield running option routes on linebackers, linebackers are fear. That would put fear if he's got a two-way goal with all that open field. Because the ball on time, you miss one tackle, just like Tony Pollard talked about. You don't have to worry. He don't have to worry about missing one tackle. If you miss a tackle out there, or your linebacker out there is not on his P's and Q's, he'll be bumping his head against the goalpost easily. But that is where I would love to see Tony Pollard used. And this is the bad thing about this guy. And I know you hate this. I hate that when he used to put Ezekiel Elliott out on the outside.
Can't stand
when they bullshit. I think that was one of the if they do that this year, I know the offensive coordinator had changed. Anyway, but even with Tony Pollard, as well as Ezekiel Elliott, on some occasions where you don't throw your hand and say we're only going to Tony Pollard, the same thing goes with Zeke. If you give the ball on time and he's one guy out there, that's still death-defying, because they know if they can't bring him down, it's a big game. But that's how I would use Tony Pollard, because think about it. Cam Newton's best times came when Chris McCaffrey was giving him his yak yards and his receptions. That way you don't need as many receivers. In football, you just got to use the guys you got.
You just made me probably do a project that I should have been did. I've been talking about it, right? Hey, utilize him like Eckler, utilize him like Alvin, and you're bringing up McCarthy or Chris McCaffrey. I'm sorry, Chris
had
McCaffrey.
over 100 receptions.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take a look at all three of those dudes, pull like 3 or 4 plays from each one, and put it together so we can see exactly how TP could be used and how it's not that difficult to do so, especially the year that Gordon and Eckler were together, and the year that Alvin Kamara and Ingram were together, because it's possible to utilize Zeke and TP and still get TP to rock from a pass catching standpoint. In fact, I'd argue, Coach, he should have more touches, receptions yards than probably running yards.
I say this guy, and this is my mix, right? And I know me and you had talked before when I said 30 carries. You said we want to pigeonhole. But listen, if we go to analytics says the Cowboys since 2016, that's been their formula for winning. 42-6 since 2016 when they got 30 carries.
Yeah, but that's too.
So listen.
That's too. It's too basic because if I just run the ball 30 times the first 40 plays, that doesn't guarantee me a victory, right? So context is missing in all that.
Right, but this is what I'm saying. It's a part of keeping on schedule. That's some of the better teams.
That's a game plan
that's
problem.
What they want to have.
I don't even attribute that to a running problem. That's a coaching issue. Because we talked about this before, Coach, right? Like you can not have the greatest offensive line, but you can still scheme up a way to be efficient on the ground. And I think that's the next step.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what you do. Keller needs to do.
Yeah, as a coach, you build analytics with inside your team. You don't just go out and say, "Oh, if I do this," but I'm still mindful of the touches I want to get this guy. I'm still mindful of the plays I need to get this guy, the plays that I want to do to keep our offense in rhythm and keep it in perfectly, not balanced, but keep our offense in rhythm so we will operate the best. So that's why, and I'll say this. I think Zeke should get 14 to 15 carries. That's not a lot of carries in the game.
Zeke?
I think Tony Pollard, you give him 10 carries, but nine receptions or 20 touches in the game. You will see this offense where these other receivers and CeeDee Lamb will eat greatly because those are your weapons.
Yeah.
You have weapons in the backfield that other teams don't have, and it will allow the other weapons to flourish. So that's why I say, and please do that, Sky, on that.
I think I am, brother.
I think using Tony Pollard, and I said Chris McCaffrey because Chris McCaffrey made a living off his pass catch. Yeah, he can run the ball, but his style of running and breaking tackles reminds me of Tony Pollard. But that putting him in that backfield, coming out with those two-way goals, that will give defenses nightmares.
Yeah, it's criminal. He hasn't been utilized like that in a featured way, but we're going to keep pushing this.
All right, one last thing, Scott. I want to say what I agree about your show.
Yeah.
But this is what I want to say. Sometimes I feel that it is really sad that the fans and great YouTubers like you and people have to give comments to get our offensive coaches, NFL coaches, to understand how to use their players. That is an indictment on some of our offensive coaches. They should have seen some of these things themselves.
Indeed. You ain't lying.
Have a good one, guys.
Appreciate you as always, Mar, for the wisdom. Coach Mar. Let me make sure that we had a couple Mars. But yeah, I always tell you, I'm no guru. I ain't Danny the Guru Savage. I'm not a guru. I think these things are pretty simple, in my opinion. Pretty simple. We had this conversation the other day about TP. We'll continue to do it until we see it. So, hey, if you're tired of it, I know what to tell you, man. I know what to tell you.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is, man. All right, real quick, because we got a few more minutes, I think, until our guy Kyle comes through. I'm gonna hit the Twitter streets real fast so we can kind of pick back up on the Dak Prescott situation at camp or at minicamp. And the first tweet I want to hit is Calvin Watkins. He talked about contested throws from Dak Prescott. Calvin said Dak Prescott a sequence where he was throwing passes to covered receivers. He's trying to give his guys chances to make plays. Wide receiver coaches chart contested catches. That's a lot. And this is a good time to find out what your receivers can do under these conditions. This kind of falls into that same realm of where Coach Dan Quinn was talking about, hey, early on in these offseason programs, we want to see what people can do. We want to see, hey, can Sam Williams stand up, put his hands down? Can Bell be a linebacker? This is the time to find out what your guys can do, because once you get to camp, I think it was with Isaiah Stanback, he said, there is no time to be experimenting anymore. Now it's time to start implementing and getting things down pat. So I think it's even more so important for him to do this right now because of how many players are out. Like, you know what CeeDee Lamb is. You know what Michael Gallup is. You don't know what James is. You don't know what really, you kind of don't know what Semi was because he didn't really get a lot of reps with you last year. TJ, Tolbert is another one. But Michael Gelkin kind of went on a little bit more to talk about these guys who were out and Dak Prescott. He said Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott had a sharp day, particularly when considering he was throwing to a wide receiver corp without 4 of his top 5 players. I don't like this theme that keeps happening here in Dallas with these receivers, but it is what it is. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, James Washington, all out, and Noah Brown working back from injury. Also limited was his top tight end. So I think we're going to hear coming out of minicamp this week, the offense probably is not going to be all that great and kind of hard to be when you're dealing with this type of injury situation. But it is good to hear that Dak was at least sharp with the backup receivers and particularly sharp with maybe the player of the week, the practice player of the week, Jalen Tolbert. Bobby Belt came out, and this part right here is what I love, the bottom part. Saw a lot of conversation between Jalen Tolbert and Dak Prescott between reps. The connection looks good early. That part. The connection looks good early. I don't think I have the graphic up. I do not have the graphic up, but we talked about the other day without Michael Gallup, Jalen Tolbert's probably, or in my opinion, should be your wide receiver 2 on the outside. I would love for him to kind of just stick to that for the majority of his snaps. Not saying all of his snaps because coach likes to move guys around. And then you'll have CeeDee Lamb and you'll have hopefully James Washington. It is going to be vital, Cowboys Nation, vital for Dak and Jalen to connect early, as Bobby Belt says, to be productive early. Now, that's a lot of pressure, especially if Michael Gallup is out for 3 or 4 games and or maybe hopefully it's only like 2. But regardless, those first 2 games are no slouches. So you love to hear this. You love to hear that Jalen Tolbert is having a day, right? He's basically been the guy at camp when all these other receivers are out. That's what you want to hear. Hey, look, man, Michael Gallup's out. Your top 2's out. CeeDee Lamb's gone. James Washington, your veteran receiver who needs to be out there, but he's not out there. You would hope they would have some connection. All right. The last thing you want to hear is, yeah, man, Tolbert's he's having a tough time out there, man. He's having a tough time. It's the last thing you want to hear, and we're not hearing that. I think that's a beautiful thing to hear about. Now, I've heard people I saw people on Twitter say this, and I ask y'all, this ain't me. This is Twitter. Matter of fact, I'll give a shout out to my guy, Connor. Connor said, a hot take he's not willing to stand on is that Jalen Tolbert will be wide receiver 1 at the end of the day. That is a steaming hot take. Do y'all believe that? Jalen Tolbert as the wide receiver 1 at the end of the day? I'll say the same thing I said before. If that happens, we're in trouble. Players got hurt. Players didn't perform up to task. And this is no knock on Jalen. My favorite pick in the draft was Jalen Tolbert, right? But if we want to get to where we want to get to, I think Jalen Tolbert needs to be your 3rd best wide receiver. Not because he ain't good enough, but because 1 and 2 are. And if 1 and 2 aren't, and a rookie 3rd round pick comes in and outperforms those dudes, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. Wide receiver 1? Hell, I would have said, all right, wide receiver 2. Maybe Jalen Tolbert just goes berserk the first 4 games. Gallup comes back and they're like, hey, you know what? Gallup, you're going to be wide receiver 2, 3. Tolbert's going to be our guy out there or our guy in the slot and he'll be more featured. Whatever, right? I can deal with that. 1, man. That hopium season, man. That hopium season. Trey said you crazy as hell if you don't think they about to feed Zeke. Don't need a wide receiver 1. Remember, Tolbert just needs to be available. Yeah, but I think what Connor is saying is at the end of the day, when we say 1, 2, 3, meaning he finishes as your top wide receiver, I think is what Connor was getting James, Jalen Tolbert so far looks like he's following the path of 2016 Dak as a rookie, getting thrown into the fire early. This is true. That is an interesting point, James. There is no kind of, hey, man, hey, Rook, you going to slow roll you out here. No. James Washington got hurt. Gallup is out. I guess they're resting CeeDee Lamb. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that because now I'm getting a little bit worried. I thought CeeDee Lamb was more of a, hey, veteran rest day, but I think it was Gelkin who said working back from injury. I don't know what that injury is. Yes, I agree with that one, Legends. He says, Tolbert seems to be a student of the game. Do I still have it up here? I still do. The quote at the bottom, I wanted to learn all the positions and be able to do anything I can for the team. So I took it upon myself to continue to learn and grow as a football player. They asked Tolbert, when did he start playing? For long-term outlook, it wasn't like he played as a little kid. He started, I think he said, his 10th or 11th grade year in high school. So in a way, he's still learning the game, right? He's still learning the game. He said Conor drinking that Marv juice. Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver 1 at the end of the season. I would say no. But if it is the case, I hope it's because everybody got like 1,100 yards. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. And we just 14-3, 15-2. We just killing them in that sense. That's the part I don't know about right there, bro. Oscar said, hey, man, from my hometown, so we produce winners. All right, let's get back to the Twitter streets real quick and talk about, let's do the Sam Williams situation, because yesterday I heard Sam Williams have himself a day. Our friend of the show, Dave Hellman, he says, if you were to chart sacks in an unpadded practice, I had Sam Williams at 4 today. The bulk of that seemed to come against Matt Let's Go, who had his hands full with his rookie classmate, but it also looked like Williams got around Terrence Steele at least once. I actually like to hear that. I want to see him beat some of these veterans as well. But, man, Sam Williams, I love to hear it. Again, I know unpadded practices and all. I get it, but I'd rather hear that. Now, on the other side, do I want to hear that he's whooping on Matt? No, but am I shocked when I look at these two dudes that, he whooped on Matt Let's Go? No. That doesn't shock me at all. Sam Williams is literally a physical freak. I think if he gets 5 sacks this year, I'll say majority of those sacks will come just from him being physically gifted. He's got a lot of things to work on with his hands, with his setting up his pass rush moves and the nuances and details of the game. That comes with experience. That comes with practice. That comes with playing the game more often and being coached by the NFL coaches. But from a physical standpoint, I think he can get a lot of sacks where he's chasing down quarterbacks. I think he can get a lot of sacks where he's just flat out beating a poor tackle with his speed. I love what Micah told him. Hey, man, make them fear something. And right now, what you got to fear is speed. Make them fear speed. And he won't need to have a bag. I don't think he has much of a bag at this moment, but he won't need to have a huge bag if he just has one counter, because he's physically gifted. Damn, Oscar. It said all of our draft picks are just born in your hometown, man. Sam Rose said Matt Let's Go pick came from the Coop trade. It did. Somebody had asked me in one of the comments from another video, hey, can we use that pick to go get XYZ? Well, the pick has already been used. Not toxic. That's a Stephen White dream. CFT in the building. What's good, Ron? He said, I wonder why Conor seems to think Lamb won't ascend. He is coming off 1,106. I don't know what that was about. I didn't ask. I didn't comment under that. That's something that I'd have to ask him. Like, why? Is it because, Tolbert is having a good minicamp / end of OTAs? I don't know. But I would hope that Tolbert is the guy that's standing out because you don't have CeeDee Lamb out there. You don't have James Washington. You don't have Michael Gallup. What you don't want to hear is, hey, yo, let me tell you about Dontario Drummond, man. He looking like the best wide receiver out there with those boys out. Nah, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that. James, so does that mean the whole narrative about Dak doesn't elevate players being a lie? It mean, I know you're being sarcastic there, but yeah, that whole thing is silly. D Shift says, I'd love for Tolbert to be able to produce like a Gallup. Produce like a Gallup, meaning like the actual production from last year. I mean, from 2 years ago, or from his second season. Remember, his second season he had like 1,106 tutties. The year they had the big three, he had like 800. I think that'd be a fantastic year for Tolbert. 800 plus yards, say 5 touchdowns. Oh man, that's a hell of a rookie year. Hell of a rookie year. Lemitra said, wow, Tolbert must really be a dog. Listen, Lemitra, we didn't dub this class as the attitude era for no reason. He's part of that.
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
He's part of that, man. Let's get on the horns real quick here. 678. What's good, 678?
What's going on, man? It's Karen. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear. What's up with you?
Cool, yeah. Just touch back on with Tolbert. Yeah, last time I called in, that's what I was talking about too, as well, about Tolbert. I was pretty much saying that coming out of college, he's actually better than Gallup coming out of college.
Oh yeah.
And I said like, so for that person, for that person who commented saying like, that will be like that very productive like Gallup. Hey, you know what I'm saying? He'd probably be more better than Gallup. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? I mean,
I think he will his rookie year. If you look at Gallup's rookie year, Gallup really didn't catch on till what, y'all? End of the season and playoffs.
The second year.
No. In his rookie season, he caught on and he just caught on a little bit late, and then in the playoff game, he kind of he broke out. But Gallup was kind of placed in a situation where Dak was still younger quarterback, kind of finding his way as a passer. The receiving room was awful. Tolbert's going to come in here with CeeDee Lamb as his mate, and then Gallup's going to come back and help as well, so he won't have that pressure for the full season to be the guy.
Exactly.
So I think he'll have a better season than Michael Gallup's rookie year, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. And then all of that, right now, you know what I'm saying, like, now you bringing up about the CeeDee Lamb injuries. Now I'm trying to worry. I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I ain't worried too much, you know what I'm saying, because it's way early in the offseason still. Yeah. We still haven't got training camp yet. So yeah. But the coaches, they know more than what we know. So yeah, if it's not looking too good, then yeah, it's probably the rumors are probably true about they looking to like, flirting with like, getting to kill Harry or DK Metcalf, some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's only if it's like the injury's not looking too good. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, I really want to call more about just saying like more of the. I'm just really tired of just talking about that TP and Zeke conversation a lot. I just can't wait till this is all over.
Yeah.
Because
it won't be over until probably week 7, because you fool me once, shame on me, right? Fool me twice, can't get fooled. No, but seriously, it probably won't be over until mid-season, because if they come out and TP's involved the first 4 weeks, it's like, all right, I saw this before. I watched this movie. Let me see you continue to do it. And honestly, I think we should be holding the front office and the coaches accountable for not getting TP to rock. So, hey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. In closing, then, the reason why I brought it up because that, TP done that in Memphis, man. Like, that's why we drafted him for it, man. He can do everything, He done it in Memphis. So now, why all of a sudden y'all want to wait until Zeke last year of his guaranteed contract and TP his last year of his rookie contract ready to say, oh, we plan on giving him, the TP more of the rock or whatever, this and that. Man, if they really do this, man, I'm telling you, man, it's so dumb, man. I'm like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it, man. They just waited the last minute. Like, why?
I think inexperienced offensive coordinator. You had a guy who had a Ferrari that doesn't know how to drive it. Don't get me started
with Kellen Moore. Don't get me started with him.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, don't even get me started with Kellen Moore, man. I'm oh my gosh. But anyway, that was in closing. I don't want to hold you up too much, man. I appreciate you taking my call.
Appreciate you, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, in my humble opinion. A guy who was under the tutelage of guys who, if you go look at historically, they don't feature two backs. Two backs may have been used. Randall, Murray, a gang of backs in Detroit when Scott Linehan was there. Now Scott, I think, was the OC. I think around the Robert Smith days. I think they had a couple guys they actually did use back, but again, different era. But historically speaking, it's not like these dudes were amazing offensive minds and geniuses or what have you that utilize a weapon like a Tony Pollard before in this era. So what does he do? He reverts to what he knows. And that's their fault for handing over the reins to a guy like that who hasn't shown the experience to be able to consistently throughout the season scheme up an offense in that way. Comes out on fire. Again, this conversation, whether it be TP, whether it be Kellen, it ain't going to be over until probably the end of the year. Because again, I don't care how they come out. I'm be like, yes, cool. Now let's move to the next week. Yes, cool. Move to the next week. Holla at me in week 13. Holla at me when things get funny in regards to injuries and things like that. Because then that will be the testament of his growth, in my opinion, in regards to Kellen Moore. Mel said he has no clue what he's doing. Let me get to a quick update on a guy that we've kind of been trying to figure out what's going on with, and that's Jabril Cox. This is what Todd Archer had to say about Jabril Cox at practice yesterday. Jabril Cox returned from a torn ACL, appears to be progressing well. Looked like he was getting after it during his resistance training with Britt Brown. A lot of people have been, when I've done the mailbag, have been asking me, hey man, any updates on Jabril? Nothing. I've got nothing. Just that he's continuing to rehab. This, I think, is the most we've heard about Jabril Cox's rehab. He's seems to be progressing well and looks like he's getting after it during his resistance training. I think the best case scenario would be Jabril Cox returning at the start of training camp, because then we may be able to see him get worked in and start to play in the preseason game. Worst case scenario is that he's still being worked in on the resistance at the start of training camp. And then we get to we get back to Dallas, and, he hasn't played in the preseason games. There's only 3 of them this year. And we're kind of just on some, okay, he's ready for week 1, but he hadn't really got his feet wet. I do think preseason is important for certain players, and I think Jabril's one of them. I think he needs to get out there and get some more. I know it's not real live experience, but it's about as close as you're going to get until you get to a regular game. So, best case, he's out there to start the training camp. Worst case, he doesn't see any training camp and he's still recovering, which wouldn't be a shock, because I want to say Tristan Hill, he missed all of training camp after tearing his ACL in an October game. And what was the other one? The tight end. Blake Jarwin tore his ACL, and I think he did return in camp, but he returned later-ish on in camp. So keep an eye out on Jabril Cox.
Super chat.
Coach Marv with the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, can Kellen get Dak to the next level of success? I don't have man, let me slow down. Technically, under Kellen Moore, and I use air quotes, boy, hard on this one, Kellen Moore, he's had his best production. I can't tell you if that's because of Kellen, or if that's just because naturally as a quarterback you get better. Dak, the one thing you can't knock about Dak is his work ethic. So is that Dak just working at it? I love to give John Kitna a lot of credit when he was here because I think John Kitna played a major factor in him taking that next step as a passer. But as a game plan caller, play caller, game planning, offensive coordinator, the next step would be, can he help put him in position to do that? I don't think Kellen Moore is going to be a guy coaching him up on mechanics, coaching him up on little small nuances of the game. I don't really see that being Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is draw up the play, draw up the game plan. Can he help put Dak in the best position to level up his production? To be decided. Take that how you want. Take that as maybe I'm not as confident in that. And maybe it ain't fair to Kellen. Because what if Dak goes out there and he has 40 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 40-20 yards, 69 completion percentage? Do I say, oh, man, that's Kellen? Probably won't. And that might not be fair. I guess it all depends how it happens. Because think about it. Last year, he had 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4,000 and something yards. But this season overall wasn't one where we was like, yo, Kellen was a beast, right? So I guess the context matters, Coach, right? We got to see how this plays out. That's going to matter. If there's another similar season in regards to the offense, I'll ask y'all this question. If the offense has another similar season, goes berserk against teams that aren't that great, you get into these tough games with a little bit better teams, and it looks weird. They're not, and Dak's not finishing. Do we come away feeling better or worse about both of them, really, Kellen and Dak? I don't know how we come out of that feeling better. So context will matter, Coach, in that one, and we'll see. That's very interesting, Coach. Very interesting question there. Very interesting question. D Schiff. We got D Schiff on the horn. What's up, D Schiff?
Hey, what's going on, Scott?
What's up with you?
Hey, good morning, man. Man, that Jalen Tolbert news is, I think you're getting everything you want to hear from him. Like you stated, man, Gallup didn't have what Jalen Tolbert has around him. And so I think that just kind of is going to insinuate just what he is as a player. I think wide receivers, their success, it really depends on the quarterback, but strongly depends on the quarterback. And so I think we've seen that Dak is a quarterback that can make you successful as a wide receiver. He's not, I think there's still an argument to be made about just how successful he can make the overall, just the team, as far as just that Super Bowl or whatever. That's okay, cool, that's fair, whatever. But he's proven that as a quarterback, he can make wide receivers get numbers and be productive. And so when you're starting out with with Lamb and Schultz out there, and you have, regression or not, Zeke is still a playmaker. He's still someone you have to respect out there as a player. The overall running game is something you really have to respect, just because of what Pollard should add. Regarding McCarthy's remarks about the Pollard just being more involved. And so when he says more involved, that's the running game and the passing game. So when you bring that back to Tolbert, he's going to have maybe your third or fourth best covering option on him. He's just starting out,
Yeah, I think he kind of joked about that early on in rookie minicamp. You're going to have a third. He said, you're going to have a guy covering me who shouldn't be. And I was like, oh, I love to hear that. Okay, Rook.
And so, that's kind of and that's refreshing to hear, because as a rookie, you want them to be confident. You kind of, when you get the guys that say, yeah, I'm just kind of learning the playbook, or it's nah, I need you, if you're telling me Tolbert, I've got concepts down already and things like that, then that's more refreshing and talking about just a guy's confidence and what he's going to be able to bring to your squad. So So I'm more or less just basing his success off of what we know that we have as offense around him. Like, he is a question mark, but if from what you see his ability and what they're already involving him in, I think that's a lot different than Maurice Kennedy. You know what I mean? And what he did in training camp last year.
Okay. You talking about training camp standouts,
yeah. Yeah. And so when you talk about the standouts and, not want to get too excited about a guy, I can temper that just because of the position he plays and the what he has around him. Like, he's definitely going to have a third option, or he's going to be playing against that as the season. He's going to have Dak Prescott throwing him the ball with this offensive line, which I was kind of surprised that it was top 3. Like, when you talk about the ratings of PFF and all that,
man,
that's more or less on grades, but they were still grade-wise. PFF showed them some love, just with like they were like top 5 or so.
Offensive line was a very pedestrian O-line last year overall. Maybe at the beginning they were good, but overall it was okay.
I think when it counted,
it was okay.
And that's what more or less hurts, is the fact that when it counted, they slipped. They didn't play to what they played to at the beginning of the year. And even with Tampa Bay, they played well. Talk about the competition all you want, but your team was able to go out and put 30 points on a defending Super Bowl champ. So, or high 20s, I forget the score. But overall, I'm pleased to hear about Tolbert, pleased to hear about, Williams and what we've already gotten in Tyler Smith. Yeah. So if these 3 can just come in and knock it out the park, you might be, might be okay. But all right, Scott, man, we'll get out of here, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate you as always, D-Shift.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this draft class is going to hinge on those 3. Obviously, all your draft classes usually your top guys, but Cowboys are different. Maybe I shouldn't say draft class. Maybe I should say, and I'm going to term hinge on that one. I think your top 3 guys are going to play an important role, or should or need to play an important role in this upcoming season for the Cowboys to get to where they want to get to, because they just don't count on the other aspects, which, by the way, shout out to my guy B Bird. He sent me an article I missed on Blogging the Boys. I might have to run that back. I know that's beating a dead horse too, but I might have to go into the details of that article. Very fascinating stuff. Stuff we already know. Stuff I've talked about a ton, but some people seem to not really look around the rest of the league. That article does it, and it's fantastic. Don't think we'll get our guy Kyle today. I'm talking to him as we speak right now. So I'm going to save his tweets. I got his tweets in the chamber. I'm going to save them for tomorrow. Just in case we get him tomorrow or not, we can go over those as well. Some good stuff in there. But we still got plenty of time here. And we got 407 on the horn. So if y'all want to call in, you can. 351-999-3787. I'll still monitor to see if we get my guy Kyle or not. But we'll continue to rock on. 407. What it is, what it do.
Scott.
Here we go. What's up?
Hey, with Mike McCarthy, man, Mike McCarthy get a lot of flack because Kellen Moore being shoved down his throat. And I still believe in my heart that Mike McCarthy is the guy to get us to the Super Bowl. No doubt in my mind. You understand what I'm saying? But he's getting a lot of flack. And, yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, straight to the point. I appreciate it. Here we go. Mike McCarthy's a guy to get the Cowboys to the Super Bowl. He better be. If you ask me, Scott, do you think he's a guy to get the Cowboys to the Super Bowl? I don't have the confidence to say yes right now, so I would say no. But like many things in Dallas over the years, you got to prove it. You got to prove it. Here's what I do like about Mike. Like, Mike is not a bad... slow down, because I didn't like how he led that team going into the playoff game. Mike would make a good manager. I think he manages the organization. He manages things well. Leader, I fall short of that. I'm not in that locker room. I didn't like what I heard after the San Francisco game. I didn't like that. But I like the things he implements into the off-season programs, the quarterback academy he does, right? The way he gets these players some rest days, how he manages the injuries, and the camaraderie of things. Like, I actually think from that standpoint, I think Mike does that very well. Now, when we get to coaching, like on the field, Jerry likes walk-around head coaches. And he took a guy who was never a walk-around head coach and made him a walk-around head coach. And I think it took him some time to adapt to that. And at this moment, do I think this Mike McCarthy walk-around head coach is the guy to lead the boys to the Super Bowl? I can't say yes until he at least leads them to a couple playoff victories. Because once you get into the playoffs, because of the way things are structured, at least until we see otherwise, it's, hey, Kellen, hey, Dan Quinn, do your thing. Do your thing. Now, when it comes to penalties, things like that, yeah, Mike got to be a bit more hard on that. You can't be out here getting all these false starts and pre-snap penalties and personal fouls and whatever. You got to come down harder on that. So I'm not down on Mike. It's just that I don't. There's nothing that's been proven to me to say, yeah, he can get us a Super Bowl. Gotta go do it, man. Would I rather have McCarthy or Garrett right now? McCarthy. McCarthy's McCarthy. I mean, I know Garrett's been to the Super Bowl as a player, but as a coach, he's never won more than a playoff game, in a series. So at the very least, at least Mike has that experience under his belt. So I'd go McCarthy. 571. What it is, what it do, 571.
Hey, what's up, Guy?
What's goody?
Oh, so I definitely see Tolbert's a big discussion, but yeah. I kind of see actually Tolbert just using some more of the stuff from his tape in Senior Bowl. So I kind of expected that out of him.
Yeah, he was one of the most impressive receivers down there. He's an older receiver, so I think that plays. I think we talked about this before. That plays in his favor when you come into the league. You're not as kind of shocked at a lot of things. You've been around a little bit longer than guys who may come out their third year. He's I think a fifth-year guy, if I'm not mistaken. I think he redshirted. So I think going to the Senior Bowl helped as well.
And that's funny. I was thinking about some people were talking about the offense, closer to the red zone. One of the things I'm probably looking forward to see more is actually maybe closer to the 10-yard line and on. It's hopefully more actual 3 tight end sets. Actual 3 tight ends, not necessarily a offensive line.
If we had 3 tight ends, I was excited about, but I think we got we got Dalton Schultz, and then we got some guys, right? Like Jake Ferguson's a rookie. Tight ends don't come in and usually kill it like that in the 4th round. It takes a little bit unless you're Kittle or somebody like that. But even Kelsey, it took some time. And then Jeremy Sprinkle, I'm just not. I don't really care for Jeremy Sprinkle. I do like Sean McKeon though. Yeah.
Right. I was thinking more of the Sean McKeon, Schultz, and Jake Ferguson, just so you can throw in a different wrinkle if you wanted a short pass play or some run game.
I like it as a wrinkle. I agree with that. I'd like that as a wrinkle. But then the question becomes: Do you want to take out Michael Gallup, CD Lamb? Oh, I guess CD could still stay in there. Tony Pollard, one of your other playmakers for that scheme or that personnel grouping more often than not. Nah, I wouldn't want to do that. But as a wrinkle, sure.
Possibly more so as a wrinkle in specific games.
Say again. I'm sorry, I didn't get the last part.
Oh, more so in specific matchups.
Yeah, if you're having a good game running the rock, power football is working, and this team just can't stop you. Absolutely, line them up and let's go. But you got to have guys that can block down there too, right? Now, Schultz said he's going to become a better blocker. I don't think Schultz is a poor blocker in the phone booth. In space, he was a little skittish. but in the phone booth, I think he's okay. Sean McEwen, can Sean McEwen be your blocking tight end? Can Jake Ferguson be your accountable blocking tight end? You got to make sure those dudes can do it. Right now, from what I'm hearing, is that Jeremy Sprinkle is your blocking guy. So it may not be Ferguson, McEwen, and Schultz. It probably will be Ferguson, Sprinkle, and insert Schultz or I'm sorry, Schultz, Sprinkle, insert Ferguson or McEwen.
Gotcha. And I do understand how that could be a little bit problematic once Michael Gallup, though, does come back for to use my idea.
Say again, I'm sorry. You're breaking up a bit.
Yeah. So I do see how that could be a little bit problematic. Like, you just use that to a certain point when you realize Michael Gallup's about to come back. You might have to dish that thing for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm big time. Michael Gallup needs to be in on these red zone opportunities. A goal to go. Like right. I have a hard time taking out Gallup and Lamb because I can just, if things get sticky, you're not really having success from a schematic standpoint, throwing the ball down there or whatever. Hut, take one step, throw it up to Michael Gallup. Good luck.
And that's the other thing I've seen from him since like year one, as far as like towards the last part of the year, this rookie year, present.
Yeah, he's a high point red zone guy that, again, I said this before, smart coaches know how to utilize specialty weapons, and I just don't think we saw it enough with Michael Gallup.
And hopefully James Washington also gives you a little bit more looks in the red zone. If you want to go, three wide receiver sets, just so you have another option for a slant guy. Out route, dig route.
I personally enjoyed Beasley down there because on those option routes, he was a cannon in the red zone, which is crazy to think that a 5'0" wide receiver like Cole Beasley is a red zone weapon, but he was. I don't view James in that same manner because he's a bit different. James low key can go up and get the rock too. He's a feisty little dude. Basic wide receiver things. I've seen him catch touchdowns down there, but I don't know if he's a weapon, goal to goal or inside the 10.
Okay, so you're thinking more so that could be Tolbert's job if you have like three wide receiver sets down there.
I'll probably go Tolbert. He's about 6'2". He's a bit bigger, maybe. But James is not a bad option if we're talking about in the slot because he plays bigger. So I think either or you're fine.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. And I do like to hear that Sam Williams is picking up more and more stuff.
Sam? Yeah. So I'm interested, and maybe if I do get Kyle in here, I'll ask him. I'm interested to see where Sam is doing. Is he playing all over the place, or is he just strictly hand in the dirt defense end? I'm pretty sure he'll stand up, but I'm wondering what they're asking him to do and what we'll see in camp, man.
And that's the other thing, like for all camp long, rest of the time you just need to stack good days on good days.
Indeed, brother. That's what we need to do. Hey, appreciate the call. Really good stuff, man.
No problem.
Yeah, give me a sec. We're seeing what's up. 1 minute. I think we're going to get our guy, y'all. I think we're going to get our guy. This is why I got mad love for Kyle. He's still coming through. So give me a second here. I'll get back into the chat. Good call. I mean, I had to think about some of those things. 3 tight end sets down in the red zone. That's usually where I want to run these things. 3 tight end sets similar to when the Cowboys were using the Hulk package. Don't bother with these things on 1st and 10 from the opponent's 35-yard line. That type of situation annoyed me. In the red zone, goal to goal, sure, right? But you got to have tight ends that can block and do those type of things. So, again, everything comes with context. With that said, I believe we got our guy, man. Our friend of the show, Kyle Yeomans, is in the building, man. What's up, brother?
Man, how's it going?
It is going, brother. It is going. And I imagine you had to kind of get your arm, and everything together because, you had the home run derby you was in. So you might have been a little sore,
I'm still recovering. I feel like the torque that your body goes through when you're hitting bombs like we were last weekend, it's tough to recover from. So yeah, just trying to get back, trying to recover. I'm trying to just get ready for next year because I finished in third, so I wasn't good enough. I got to be better.
Yeah, but I heard you hit about 9 or 10 of them things in round one. I probably wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, I had a good round one, but that was the problem is I left it all on the table, and I left the door open for somebody to take it in round two. So I gotta up my stamina. That's the biggest thing.
Gotta up your stamina. I got it. I feel you.
Up the stamina.
Hey, let's get into some of this camp stuff here, man. I don't want to keep it too long, but when camp comes around, I like to see which unit standing out, right? Who is ahead of the curve, right? And we heard a few of the defensive players come out and talk about year 2 with Dan Quinn being further along than last year. And yesterday, you actually kind of talked about the defense looking like, or last year, yesterday, you talked about the defense looking like it's ahead. What seems to be clicking out there right now for this defense, Kyle?
I think it's interesting. It's a confidence and it's a bit of a swagger with this defense that hasn't necessarily been there in the past because at least up until this point during my tenure with the team, the offense has been the one with all the confidence and the swagger. And they've been the ones that have been able to puff out their chest and say, okay, we run this building. It's been Dak, it's been Zeke, it's been Amari, it's been Jason Witten at times, and then moving into Dalton Schultz. And, man, that offensive line has been beefed up, and they, of course, have run a lot of this facility. That's not the case anymore. I mean, Dan Quinn has got that defense playing at a level that overshadows what this offense is doing. And everybody saw it last year.
Yeah.
I mean, toward the back half of the season, the defense was the highlight reel of this ball club, and I think that's continued. And you also see it with the personalities on that side of the football as well, with DeMarcus Lawrence and Trayvon Diggs and with Micah Parsons, of course. And then you go and draft a guy like Sam Williams, Sam Williams, if they would have had pads on, he may have had 4 or 5 sacks yesterday, by himself.
That's one of the guys I was going to ask you about was about Sam Williams.
Yeah.
What was he looking like?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. His get-off, there were a couple times he lined up off sides, which is something I think, that's an easy fix, but it's still something that you want to make sure that as a rookie he's able to understand, because you can't be giving up the 5 yards as easy as he would have yesterday, because I think it was twice he was flagged for it. But he's also trying to get that extra step, and in doing so, he was in the backfield quite a bit. And he's not the only one. Chauncey Golston's had a great offseason, and he's looking solid. He was playing all over the defensive line yesterday, and I know you and I have had a conversation about Chauncey in the past, but he continues to catch my eye. And then defensively, you look at some of these other defensive tackles that I'm excited for them to stay healthy. Of course, knock on wood, you don't want anything to happen in the preseason, but right now, if they go into week 1 healthy, the combination of Osa Odighizuwa, of Neville Gallimore, of Tristan Hill, and then the veteran of Carlos Watkins, all these guys all together, I feel like are going to provide an impact in that run-stopping ability that they haven't necessarily had on that defense. That was the missing key last year as well. You had the sacks, you had the turnovers, you had the secondary. Where was the run-stopping?
Yep.
And I feel like that's here. I feel like they know it's coming with some of this youth on the defensive line, and, of course, with a guy like Leighton Vander Esch and Micah Parsons to back those guys up. I still think that they feel very confident going into this early part of the season that this defense is going to run the show again, and they're showing it early on in minicamp.
So we talked earlier here on the show about Todd Archer's tweet about Jabril Cox. Before I move on to the other side of the ball, have you been able to check him out working with Britt Brown? Does he seem like he's getting closer? Because I feel like he could be a vital part of this defense too, Kyle.
No, I agree. I think he's a necessary part of the defense, especially when it's Micah, it's Leighton Vander Esch, and then after that it's Luke Gifford and Story Jackson, Devin Harper. I mean, the linebacker room's very thin. So you need Jabril Cox to not only be healthy, but you need him to be a consistent part. But I completely agree with what Todd was talking about, saying, I mean, he looks close. He continues to run well. He's doing some change of direction stuff off to the side. And it's interesting because the guys that aren't practicing, you almost get just as much in these minicamp practices out of the guys that are practicing, just because you get a chance to look at them as well and say, okay, well, Micah Gallup's looking good, but he's coming along nicely. Still a long way away, but it's still something that you can look at and see tangibly he is continuing to get better. And then with Jabril Cox, I mean, we were looking over there yesterday and saying, oh, he looks like he could be close.
Oh,
I mean, at least from this training staff and what they've done as a track record in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to keep him out just on the sole basis of wanting him to be completely healthy. But at the same time, I mean, there's probably going to be an emphasis to try and get him in there when Oxnard rolls around and have him at least early on in training camp get those reps, get that feel back, because he really didn't get a chance to finish his rookie season. He's got an opportunity here to really see some playing time and to up the snap count quite a bit.
I think we're going to need him, man. I think we're going to need a lot of these young guys. And usually there's a young guy or two that has a day at these camps, right? And yesterday, Sam Williams was one of them, Kyle. And the other one was Jalen Tolbert. It seemed like he handled the pressure of being the dude well yesterday, and apparently some special teams pressure in regards to return snaps. What was your overall take on Tolbert yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, he's been really impressive. And the more that you watch him play, the more you feel like he's going to fill a role. Now, there's no James Washington.
Yeah.
There's no Michael Gallup. And then yesterday, specifically, there was no CeeDee Lamb. So he, at least out of the wide receiver group, should be that top guy. And him and Simi Fehoko and a lot of these young wide receivers, they were all having a great opportunity to get some great playing time and get to see what it's like for getting thrown to by Dak Prescott and things of the sort that they wouldn't necessarily get on a normal practice day. And Jalen Tolbert looks like he's already on that same page with Dak Prescott, because getting that rhythm down, finding a consistency with QB1 is exceptionally important for a young wide receiver. And Tolbert has done that. At least in the early parts of this offseason, it looks like he is on the same page. And there were a couple times yesterday that Dak threw into Tolbert's break. Like, I mean, he hadn't even broken yet, and he had already thrown the football. Tolbert breaks into it, and then boom, catch, what would have been a big gain, and moving forward. It was really Tolbert and Simi Fehoko yesterday. Those were the only two guys that saw any kind of success against this defense that was really suffocating at times throughout the practice period. It was a lot of those two guys, which is good because those are young guys that need to contribute in some shape, fashion, and form. But the fact that Tolbert continues to stand out above the rest is a good sign for when Gallup and Washington and, of course, CeeDee Lamb are all back in the fold sooner rather than later.
Hey, you brought up Simi Fehoko's name a few times, and, we've been hearing Simi throughout the weeks, really, whether it be good or a little bit of bad, but it seems like he put on some of that off-season peanut butter, from a mental standpoint and physical standpoint, as we like to say here. Do you see Dak's confidence growing in Simi?
Yeah, I think it's starting to rise a little bit, and he mentioned it yesterday. He kind of gave a generic answer on, he's a young wide receiver. We like what he's done this offseason, but there is a bit of an upgrade that you've seen from Simi, because last year when he was in rookie minicamp, I remember watching from the building at the Star and saying, he's not moving the way that you would want him to move as a first-year wide receiver. I mean, he looks a little slow. He's rounding his breaks, and he's not necessarily getting off the line of scrimmage with the emphasis that you would need. He's fixed all of that to a certain extent. Now, he's no Amari Cooper running routes yet. I mean, he's not a technician by any means, but he's finding a way to get open. He's creating separation. He's exploding out of his stance as a line of scrimmage, and then you get an opportunity to throw him the football as many times as Dak has had over the OTAs and now minicamp. It's going to make him better as a pass catcher. Now, yesterday he did have a drop in the end zone where it was the best route I've seen him run. I was watching him the entire time. He's going up against Anthony Brown. He absolutely cooked him at the line of scrimmage. I mean, AB got tangled up. He got turned around. I don't know if he was expecting Fehoko to do something not as sharp as he did, or it just kind of underestimated him at some point throughout the break. But Anthony Brown was absolutely turned around. And then by the time that Fehoko had turned and was pretty much wide open, he had at least 2 or 3 steps on AB in the end zone. He just dropped the pass. I mean, it was a little bit high, but it hit right off of both of his hands and then it went through the back of the end zone. So it's almost like making a great move in basketball. You dribble through somebody's legs, or you cross somebody up. You got to finish the layup. Like you got to finish. You got to catch the football. That's what happened yesterday with Fehoko, and so he's not there yet, at least from what we're seeing. But he is taking steps, and I think that's a positive thing for this offense moving into it.
You brought up AB, and you said the defense was kind of clamping on a lot of these dudes. It's kind of hard to get a read, I think, on the corners because they're not playing against the top guys. But if you could, any type of read, how have they been performing or look to you?
Well, it's also tough because they're not really hitting anybody either, just because there's no pads on as well. It's the same thing with offensive and defensive lines. I mean, everything you see, you got to take with a bit of a grain of salt because the pads aren't on yet. And of course, when we get to Oxnard, first couple practices, theirs won't have pads either, and then they'll put on the pads, and that's when we really get a look at what these guys are looking like. But as far as the corner in the secondary goes, I really do like what I've seen. That was probably the only time throughout this entire offseason I've seen AB just straight up, cooked. He hasn't been beat. He's been in the hip pocket, a lot of these guys. He made a couple nice plays yesterday. I think there were 2 or 3 pass breakups that I saw from AB. Jordan Lewis looks like he's destined to get back in the mix and try and go again for another career year, kind of like what he had yesterday. Not yesterday, but last year with 3 picks and trying to continue that now into the 2022 season. The only thing that I think would be a bit disappointing at this point is just the lack of practice that Kelvin Joseph has been able to attend. He wasn't out there yesterday. It's one of those things that you just expect him to take a step at some point. I mean, he's a second-round player, and a lot of pressure got taken off of him last year because of the explosion of the first-round pick in Micah Parsons. But, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Kelvin Joseph this year to come out and to at least show a certain amount of improvement. And to this point, it's hard to tell, one, like you said, at all with cornerbacks. But with him, he really hadn't been on the field a whole lot. So you haven't necessarily seen exactly what he could do. But I know this team expects him to take a step forward. He expects to take a step forward. They've just got to find a way to get him into that mix. And right now, whether it's an injury or maybe just something going on with him, then it's not necessarily panned out the way that you would have anticipated as a Cowboys fan.
I think camp is going to be very important for Kelvin Joseph, but looks like Isaac Taylor-Stewart is taking advantage of his opportunities, though.
Yeah, a couple young safeties, honestly, are taking advantage of those opportunities, or secondary players, I should say, because Isaac Taylor-Stewart had a pick six yesterday. He exploded and cut off a pass and then took it all the way to the house. He's been great, I think, from an undrafted free agent standpoint, showing, hey, I can do this too. I can stay in the mix and I can be in a rotation, and I really like his traits. He's a little bit smaller than some of the guys that you would anticipate being out there, but he's got some burners, and we saw it yesterday when he picked off that pass. He turned on the afterjets and made it into the end zone. It would have easily been a pick six, and that was on the first play of the drive as well, too. I mean, he didn't waste any time being out there and running with that group of players. He got out there and made the pick. Another player that's really been impressive in the secondary is Tyler Coyle in his second year. I really like what I've seen from him. I like the ability that he's shown to be in the right place at the right time, either as a pass breakup or even in stopping the run. He comes down and he's been able to lay a good, I can't say hit, but a couple hands on players at the time. When he's able to drop down, he's in the right place. He's learning this defense, and he's really making good reads at the moment, and he's making good breaks. I got to watch yesterday's practice with Barry Church, and we were kind of talking about some of these young safeties, and he pointed out Coyle as well, and was like, man, I really like what he's doing too. So, when game respects game like that, you can take some stock into it as well. So Isaac Taylor-Stewart and absolutely Tyler Coyle, both of which were shining yesterday, and I think there's a lot of depth in those positions where there hasn't really been any depth in the past.
That is very interesting because that cornerback room to me is deeper with bodies than I think people realize. So a guy like if Isaac Taylor-Stewart can get on this team, I think he'll earn that, and that's a great thing. For Coyle, the safety room is not as deep behind the top three, but if he makes it again, I think he'll earn it because he's going up against guys that were drafted in front of him and potentially some undrafted guys as well. So good to hear from Coyle and Isaac Taylor-Stewart doing well.
Yeah, it's interesting with Tyler Coyle, and you mentioned kind of the safety room itself, but you look at those top three guys with Jalen Kearse, and then you got Malik Hooker, and then Donovan Wilson. I think they're expecting a second-year jump from Israel Mukuamu as well. One of the big things with him that last year we talked about extensively was his lack of willingness to step up and lay a hit. As a corner, you don't have to do that a whole lot. Sure, you have to hit some guys, but for the most part, you want to stay away from the physicality. So when he moved from corner to safety last year, I think there was a flip of the switch that just never happened. And he would step up, he would be in the right spot, but then he'd be on his back foot and he'd be on his heels to the point where he wouldn't necessarily be able to make the play. And so I think this year he's found a bit of a rhythm. He's continued to show why the traits were good enough for him to be drafted as highly as he did, and I think he's going to take a second-year jump there as well. So along with Tyler Coyle, I agree. I think Israel Mukuamu is going to help, and even Marquise Bell as an undrafted free agent this year, I think are guys that are going to fill out that safety room very nicely.
Man, you just get me excited for camp because I know once they get the pads on, and the depth battles are probably going to be the most fun things about camp because we're pretty secure on who the guys are going to be above them. But those depth battles are going to be fierce, man, fierce.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Kyle, in closing here, buddy, the big talking point coming out of yesterday had nothing to do with really practice. I think it was Mike McCarthy in his press conference talking about Dak Prescott being a little bit more mobile and being more lean, and he even joked to the reporter that he didn't want to give a game plan things away, right? But are they pushing him more physically in regards to his mobility, and are you seeing a more jacked Dak, if I say?
Yeah, I think they want that element of the offense back into the fold because I think last year you looked at the ability of Dak to roll out, it was there, but for the extended run, or at least to have him as a part of the read option or as an option as a pure runner, it was either a lack of willingness to let him run, or maybe he just didn't necessarily have the same type of mobility that he had prior to the injury as well. So there were a couple factors that could have gone into it. However, I think Kellen probably looked at the tape last year and said, man, if we really had Dak Prescott as a guy who could run, this would help us open up our offense even more than what it did last year, and it probably could have helped them down the stretch. So I think this is an element of the game that they want him to be a part of again. But he even said it yesterday, and he joked in his open locker room interview where he said, "I might be leaner, but that doesn't mean I'm faster." He said, "I'm slim and I'm lean. It doesn't mean I'm faster, though. Like let's not get carried away here." But there's a lot of excitement, I think, around him being. He also said it too, flexible, more flexible, and hopefully that's a case of durability as well. And if there's not as much of a concern with durability, then you go back to 2016 through 2019 Dak Prescott, where you can use him in a number of different ways without the fear of him truly getting injured. And then I think the offense could really benefit from that.
I think that's hilarious that he said that. I didn't catch that part yet in the interview because he never was a speedster, and he's not hiding it. He was more of a tank than he was a cheetah.
Yeah. Yeah, he even said that about his college days. He's like, I was a little chubby in college. I mean, I was thick in college, so it was a little bit different from a build standpoint.
That's hilarious, man. Hey, appreciate you coming through, Kyle. I love doing this, man. Definitely want to have you on here again, maybe towards the end of this here minicamp, or once we get camp started back up, actual training camp, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Anytime. Appreciate you having me on as always.
Yes, indeed, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
That was Kyle Yeomans, Dallas Cowboys staffer, TV host, writer, everything for the Dallas Cowboys, joining us today. Appreciate him coming through. I will never ever take that for granted, ever, when the guys come through and give us some of their takes on what happens, because they have their busy days. So I hope you guys don't as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. We'll pull from there, and we'll drop maybe a video about it later on today. But I know we're heading towards the end of the show here, which we are at the end of the show, but I must do this, take a quick little break and talk about this week's Ride of the Week. Then we'll come back and we'll hit the chat, and we'll get this Wednesday kind of on the end here. This week's Ride of the Week is the Freeman Hyundai 2022 Hyundai Elantra Hybrid. The 2022 Hyundai Elantra stands out in traffic due to its unique styling, but underneath that sharply creased sheet metal is a spacious and practical compact car. Its cabin is decked out with a similarly futuristic design, and several high-end features are offered, especially on the high-end trims that help with the wow factor. And of course, the biggest wow factor in today's economy is miles per gallon, because gas is ridiculous. 53 city, 56 hybrid, and one of the most underrated features in these new cars now, I think, are the lane keeping assistance. If you live in Dallas, you know what I'm talking about. Driving's crazy down here. So if you want to check out the Freeman Hyundai Ride of the Week, you can by visiting freemanhyundai.com or heading down to Freeman Hyundai in Irving, Texas.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
in front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. We'll do it live.
You know, I love that part at the end. I wonder if y'all hear some of the small things that happens with some of these drops and whatnot I do. I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. I'm here to rescue you from the big letter networks and the fans that run with this nonsense. That's what I'm here for. That's what the Bomb Squad's here for, too. Hope y'all enjoyed that interview there. I'm going to run that back my dang on self. You know, having eyes down there is very important. I know the tweets, we get them and everything like that, but the details of what they are saying, I think, mattered. Like, listen to him talk about ghosting, and even he brought up Tristan, but the 3 techs, right? Looking like they're going to be more run-stoppy guys. Big, because I think when we had Clarence on, we talked about how, you know, they had a guy at every level of the defense. They had a D-Law, then a Micah, then a J-Ron, and on the outside, a Trayvon Diggs. But one thing he did say is, yeah, but they need that defensive tackle dude. And they could potentially have a gang of them, or our guy like Osa or Golston or maybe year 3 Gallimore could be that dude for you. So really good stuff there. Really good stuff. I'm going to hop into the chat. I mean, the line is technically open. Yesterday, you know what? Let me just go ahead and close this right now because yesterday I left the line open. Y'all called in here and it was interesting to say the least. So we're going to close the lines. We're going to hit the chat before we get on up out of here. I was noticing during the interview, I didn't even call it that. Interview feel like a person you just bring in once. Kyle part of the family now in regards to this Cowboys community thing. He can come through, go kick his feet back, go get some Kool-Aid from the fridge. He ain't in an interview. Our chat with the friend of the show, Kyle, y'all was in here arguing about Noah Brown. What happened? Well, fill me in. What'd I miss? Never, Trey. Never. Unless I'm completely off of this, which I probably won't be, but I'll never. Man, come on, man. If you've been here when I was at 20 subs and you're here now, I'm same energy, right? I'm gonna keep that, bro. I got you. So apparently Noah Brown has become a topic of discussion in here. And I don't know what's the issue. Is it that y'all think that Noah's not going to make it? I think Noah's going to make the team because that's just what he does. He makes the team. And as a wide receiver 5, I mean, sure. I mean, you can't be mad at a guy like Noah for being wide receiver 5. Now, if somebody shows him up with more upside, then I'm going with that guy. But somebody has to show Noah Brown up first. You know, that seems to be the damn issue, is nobody is showing him up. Now, we make jokes that he might have, you know, some photos of the Joneses and he, ha, ha, he, hell, says Noah. I'm earning this. All right. And, you know, I saw in here, you know, he's a good blocker. I mean, how often are you bringing Noah Brown in to block, though? You know what I mean? So if, like, we're bringing Noah Brown in 15 plays a game to block, I don't like it. In fact, you go back to the playoff game. This is, man, about to piss me off. Noah Brown and Seth Wilson were out there far more often than they needed to be, in my opinion. The stupid play where they ran the Hawk formation play action and sent Steele and McGovern out on routes, it was Noah Brown running the go route. It was Seth Wilson running the go route. Yeah, I digress. But special teams guy, that's what you want from your wide receiver 5. That's what Noah Brown is. So if nobody's showing him up on special teams or as a wide receiver, because you got to do both, then he's going to be on this team. Chat said, or 9 Deep said, chat, Noah Brown or TJ Vasher? That's a good one. I like TJ's upside, right? Long distance, but do we believe TJ is going to give us special teams? You need that. I think here's why you really need it. Your linebacker room is slim, and they're losing players, and Jabril's not ready. So you got a lot of, you know, young guys and unproven bodies that will be accounted on to play special teams or possibly snap. So your wide receiver 4, 5, and 6, if you roll with 6 or 7, all have to be able to play special teams. They have to. Yeah, Tox says Brown over Vasher easily. I would go with Brown over Vasher right now, because I think right now he's going to help you more. Where TJ, he's not going to play special teams, and I highly doubt they're even going to use him as a specialty player. So unless Vasher goes out there and outplays him. Gregory doesn't like the artificial turf. He said we should tear it out. I think every athlete that has played on turf and grass will tell you they hate turf. They hate it. But how many ACL? Oh, he did. No. How many ACL injuries have the Cowboys had on that field, though? I know Tristan got tore up on that field, but the Jarwin was on the road. Jabril was on the road. Daks had nothing to do with really the turf. That was just a tackle. I wonder if, and no one wants turf over grass, but I wonder if the Cowboys turf is considered bad or one of the better ones. Interesting. Noah should never be on a go route unless it's the Jesse Holley play. Well, that's what he ran, man. The shift says, look at the 2019 special teams unit and then talk to me about the importance of special teams players. I don't think he's our best special teams guy, though. I think that's CJ Goodwin. But, if no one's beating out Noah as, the gunner or what have you, then you got to have him. I personally think the coaching, Noah was here in 2019. He was here. It wasn't like he just made a difference. You know who made the difference? Bones Fossil made the difference. Y'all guys are talking about Taylor Stewart. He got a good review from our guy. Yeah. D-Block says, so is Noah making the team on strength of being special teams? I think so, D-Block. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get to the point of the roster process where you're like, okay, I'm down here at 48, 49. 48, 49 is not playing. They're not going to play in these games, right? So now you got to kind of wager, can they contribute in a way? Can they play special teams? Because that's a way to contribute, right? And if you can't, that's going to be a detriment, in my opinion. And Noah can. So, yeah, D-Block, I think he'll make this team because of special teams, unless Semi, Drummond, Freifogel, TJ Vasher show him up in that, and as well as a receiver. James, no Browns garbage. Can't be worse than the Giants turf. Yeah, I don't think the Cowboys. I mean, again, I'm not on that field, but I'll talk to Jesse about it. I think all players would rather play on grass, but I wonder if different artificial turfs are better. Like, is Dallas artificial? Or is their turf better than somebody said Meadowlands? People hate the Meadowlands, and I don't know what's going on here with these bots. So I will say this with the bots. Dang, they came in here strong. Good Lord. They were out for a minute. I think the subscriber thing worked. They came back in, but I don't think it's as bad. Remember that 1 week we were going through it bad with the bots, y'all. But they came in here twice today, got rid of them. I think the subscriber thing is still working. Maybe I need to make it longer. I have it on 5 minutes. Maybe I'll make it to, like, you got to be a subscriber for 10, 15, an hour. I don't know, whatever, to keep them out as much as we can, man, because I can't stand them. I can't stand them, but the Bomb Squad got me. Bomb Squad! Ain't that wild, TC? TC said the bot subscribe. That is crazy to me. Like, is this a computer? I see my guy Juan coming through. Let me open it up. Let me open it up for you, Juan. I'm gonna open it up for you. Is this like just a computer, a PC? Is this an actual person sitting in their mom's basement, eating a bunch of chips, drinking out of a whatever, and like, hey, we're going to subscribe to A to Z. We're going to get in this Skywalker show and just flood it with some bots. It's weird, man. Stop being weird, people. Bluff, what's up, Bluff? He said, I missed Kyle's segment. Since we on wide receivers, was there any mention of Roberson is performing? No, there was no mention of him. But I'm going to take out Kyle's segment and put it as a video so you guys can just listen to that. But yeah, he didn't bring up Roberson. In fact, I haven't heard too many people down there bring him up. We've heard Freifogel. We've even heard Drummond. But we haven't heard Roberson, who I believe is the Wake Forest kid. We're getting Wake Forest and Purdue mixed up, but he was pretty productive last year. But I'll make sure I ask somebody that comes through next time how he's performing. Coach Marv, yes, I did actually have your super chat up here, bro.
Super chat.
He said, Sky, let's not stop pushing for the Barr signing, and we will not. Something's wrong with my system today. But yeah, it's not even just Barr. I'm gonna keep it a bean with you, Coach. I like either Barr or Quan Alexander, but regardless, I think veteran linebacker depth is important. Barr probably offers more versatility, not even properly. He does. Quan's a bit more explosive, but I'm with you. I'm still steadfast on you cannot just sit on your hands with this linebacking unit. I think we need to get some more depth in here. And again, y'all, because I see people, this person sucks, or he washed, or whatever. What's wrong with veteran depth? I'm not asking Barr to be my guy. I'm asking for depth. I'm asking for competition for LVE, right? There's no what's wrong with competition. You scared a little bit of competition? No. Go get that. All right. So now I'm going to lock it and get my guy. I believe this is Juan. Is this Juan up in the building? JC?
Yes. What's going on? Will, how you doing, brother?
What's good, man? I'm good. Had a fantastic show. I'm not sure if you caught Kyle coming in here, but really good stuff, man.
I'm just coming on now, man. I'm taking a little lunch break, and I saw that you were on, so I came on. I just want to say how much respect I have for you, man. I admire what you're doing. And just a quick little reverb on what you're talking about, the players wanting to play on grass. I believe most do, but there's an exception. I think the 99 Rams are the only team that would not prefer to play on grass, as they were called the greatest show on turf.
Yeah, that's true.
And then in regards to just what you were saying right now, I was listening in to the linebacker depth. I agree we need linebacker depth, but at the same time, you want those players to be available, right? I understand Barr and Quan Alexander aren't coming in to actually push LVE for starting time. But if those guys aren't available when they get their number called, I mean, what good and what purpose are they really serving? Can they really mentor a player if they're in the rehab room most of the time? You know, just questions, just playing devil's advocate.
No, that's
I believe depth at the linebacker position is a real thing, and we need some safety. We need some safety help because I think in the deep end we have Malik Hooker, but one of those J-Ron or Malik goes down. I mean, who do we really have? I think safety depth is a real question because we're relying on Marquise Ball, who's unproven, undrafted, and we're relying on Donovan Wilson, who played well almost 2 years ago, right towards the end of the season. But at the same time,
he played well last year too.
I mean, there's a lot of questions there.
Yeah, I think that's why I always say outside the top three. I do think Donovan Wilson is quality depth in regards to the safeties, but the way that we've played the safeties, we've kind of played four last year, right? They used KZ, Hooker, Donovan Wilson, and J-Ron. So if we are going to play four, then that means we're lacking in depth because we only got three that we know of
My
right
point
now.
exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
I'm never against bringing in more safety. I know me. I love safety play. I don't know what it's looking like out there. It doesn't seem like they'll be going that route, but I feel like I'm in more dire straits at backer because, you know, Micah's going to be moving around a lot. LVE, he was healthy last year, but, you know, y'all know me. I think LVE has peaked. I don't really see him getting better. Hopefully he doesn't get worse. And he's also injury prone. Behind them, Jabril's not playing right now. You know, he's recovering. Hopefully he'll get back here for camp. And then it's a bunch of undrafted rookies, man, and a 6th-round pick. That scares me because that's a position that, you know, they face train wrecks every play, it seems like. And you really got one guy who hasn't been hurt like that, and that's Micah. So, yes, Barr and Quan Alexander are definitely injury-prone dudes. There's no denying that, Juan. I think those guys, I don't want them to come in here to be the dudes because of that. But if they could come in here and, supplant LVE if he gets hurt, or hell, if he beats out LVE, I'm cool with that too. But I feel like they can offset each other.
Are we all?
Yeah, I ain't gonna be mad at that.
Yeah, no, and then just lastly, just since we're on defense, how do you think that rotation is going to work at edge, defensive end, whatever you want to call it? Because I know with Dante Fowler there, also Golson's in, but they haven't played like that hybrid role, almost like that Tyron Crawford role, and then DeMarcus Lawrence. How do you think they're going to sprinkle in Micah Parsons along with Sam Williams? Because only so many players fit on the field.
Hey, bro, I don't question DQ and how he going to use Micah.
It's not even questioning. I'm intrigued. I'm more intrigued than anything. I just want, because I just
it's going to be fun.
I'm just wondering how he's going to use that because obviously he caught everyone by surprise in Cowboy Nation. I think the league and how he played Micah and how the defense improved drastically.
I think you'll see him shoot, man. I think Dan Quinn's going to turn it up this year because now he knows what he can do with Micah. Now, hopefully, D-Law is going to be here, for the most of the season. You got a couple of these guys that are year 2 dudes like Chauncey Golston that can be versatile. Sam Williams a bit versatile, and a guy I think a lot of people sleeping on, man, Dante Fowler. When Dante Fowler is your 3rd or 4th or 5th guy you got to worry about, I think he's going to do some good things. So I'm excited for the rotation, to be honest with you. And we'll probably get a small glimpse of it in preseason, but we probably won't see mad scientists Dan Quinn until week 1. And I can't wait because Juan, in week 1 last year, I hope the Buck fans think that we're going to roll out the same situation we rolled out. It ain't going to happen. Micah played linebacker majority of that game. He ain't rushed really at all, for real. Now Micah going to be all over the damn place.
They didn't know he was capable of.
Yeah.
They didn't know what he was capable of.
Indeed, man.
Because his college, I mean, if you think about his college tape, it didn't really have him rushing. You know, listen to a lot of the people in Cowboy Nation, Jeff Kavanaugh specifically. He didn't see a lot of times where he was rushing the passer. It was more on blitz, and I actually had him rated as my second or third backer. But that athletic ability, and he proved everybody wrong, it was incredible, man. He's top 3 in the league for sure, regardless of position.
Indeed,
He's just such a wild card. I'll let you go, man. I'll let you finish up the show. I'll keep listening in. Thank you so much for taking the call and opening up the line. Look forward to seeing you soon, brother.
Yes, sir. We definitely got a link, bro. Appreciate you calling in and supporting, Juan.
Absolutely. My guy.
Good stuff there, man. He just kind of got me excited about week 1 because I think week 1 is going to be super dependent on the defense, helping carrying the offense. And that's no knock on the Daks and the Zekes and the TPs and the Lambs of the world. It's just that Todd Bowles is no slouch, and I know we did against them last year, but it's a different look this year, right? With some of these young guys. No Gallup is going to be out there. No Cooper is going to be out there. We hope James Washington will be there. Things going to look different offensively. So last year going to that game, I felt confident offensively because I'm like, Dak's back. Look at what we got out there. This year it's like, all right, let's see. Let's hope the offense can do enough and finish. That's all I need them to do. Defensively, I hope Tampa think this is going to be as sweet as it was last year. I hope. J-Rock wasn't the starting safety. Malik Hooker. No, Casey had a good game, though. But Malik Hooker wasn't back there. Micah, first game ever. And you saw it. You saw some hesitancy from a linebacker spot. They gonna be. Listen, if it was me, and I'm just speaking out loud here, I'm sending Micah half the damn time to go get time. Who? He not running away from Micah up the A or B gap. Come on. Tom, you better get the ball off real quick. Now, he got it off quick sometimes last year, but he better get it off real quick. And that's why a Jabril Cox or a Barr or Quan, so I can be like, yeah, Micah, go get him because I got Jabril and Quan back here. I got LVE and Barr back here. Guys, I feel a little bit more comfortable with, but that's me just getting excited, man. It's me getting excited. Good stuff today, man. Leon said Zeke running for 200 versus. Can you imagine? We'll see. Remember, they still got Vita Vea, and they still got they just signed Akeem Hicks. So yeah, it'll be tough to run up that middle. It's gonna be tough. All right, we went super overtime today, but I think it was rightfully so. I had a fantastic call with our friend of the show, Kyle Yeomans. I pulled that for you guys. Some good calls today. Appreciate the donations. Coach Marv was in the building, man. Gave us some knowledge. Dropped a lot of the super chats. Appreciate Lord Nova. I didn't get to Lamar's yesterday. I don't know if you're watching here, so I'll read it here, Lamar.
Super chat.
Lamar dropped one at the end yesterday I didn't get to. Says Zeke will be better if we allow lightning to happen first and thunder in the late third and fourth quarter. I like that one. Isn't that what happens? The lightning comes, and then the thunder. We always thunder lightning. I know in football though, you want to soften up the defense and then come in with TP, but be nice to see TP, get some action early. But we're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna be here for an entire whole hour discussing it, man. Good stuff today, man. Professor O really clipped that damn clip. Do y'all watch? Who's watching the volume later on? Who goes and watches the show with me and Vach, man? Vach Lombardi live over on the volume. A lot of crazy nuggets there. A lot of little inside jokes. I got caught yesterday. I'm not going to repeat myself, but I got caught just talking football, man. Sometimes football can sound funny, and they got me. It is what it is. Make sure y'all check me out. I'll be on there later. It'll be fun, as it always is. We'll talk some more camp stuff, man. Vach's perspective on things, I love it. So y'all tune in. Hit the like button. Do all those good things that we need to make sure that people are seeing the show. I literally live by giving you guys quality Cowboys content. That's why it's just not a run-of-the-mill show that we do. I put a lot into it, even though it's every day, but I put a lot into it, man. So I really appreciate y'all if you hit the like. Share it with more of your Cowboy friends, whether it be in Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, wherever. Share it and subscribe. 3 things. Free things to support. Easy, man. I appreciate it. Also, make sure y'all check out my guy, Mauricio Rodriguez, Trey. Tonight, 8 p.m. Central on A to Z Sports, prime time as things are falling in my studio here. We'll be back tomorrow. Maybe some more minicamp talk. There will be some more things that'll probably drop. They do practice Thursday, but I'll let y'all know right now. I will not be here Friday flying back to PA, and I will not be here Monday celebrating the Juneteenth holiday, so you'll catch me on Tuesday. So tomorrow will be the last show of the week, and maybe on Tuesday we'll get Kyle back on. Maybe we'll get Dave in here. We'll get somebody in here. We'll talk about what they saw. The media will be open on Thursday, so just wanted to share that with y'all. Won't be here Friday, won't be here Monday. All right, so I'll drop something for y'all hopefully on Monday to keep you guys busy. All right, love y'all, man. Y'all be safe. Y'all be real. Hug somebody. Tune in later. I'll be on there. Y'all know me. Shut up. Nah. We'll save it for the show. Y'all be easy, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in today. Love y'all. We out of here. Peace.
I don't have the patience to jack with you today.